Alright, here we go again today. So yesterday we left off. We Mod Podged this base. Sealed it all up. As you can see, it dried nice and clear. We made an epoxy resin turtle in a mold that we're going to demold here in a couple seconds. And we took our excess and just kind of poured a little light cover just to get rid of our excess. So I figured today we'll start with peeling back this. So let's start here. Just gonna make sure we pop out these. Oh, as you can see, it's still pretty soft actually. So let's put that back. It actually might stay soft the whole time. Yeah, it still seems quite soft. How about our turtle? Let's try and get this little piece of resin off. A little piece of excess resin there. I'll save that. I can probably paint it and make something out of it, maybe an eye or something in the future. So let's peel this back and see. So we're just, I don't know if you can see that, but see how it's light here and dark here. So here it's unattached, here it's still attached. So we're just trying to create some air and let that peel back a bit. Just a little bit at a time. Go to this side. Right here. Just little bits at a time. We're just breaking the edges. That's all we want to do right now. Just break those edges loose. See in there? So this part, see how it's still darker colored? This leg free, this leg free. Let's work on this one. We're just freeing the edges for now. See right there? Resin's holding it in place. There we go. So again, we're just gonna peel it back a bit. Little bits at a time. Till we get our reveal. What we're gonna do is come up from the tail. And voila. Now before we turn this over and see our results, you can see there's a piece of resin right there. That in our pile. That resin in there, I'll clean up later. All in here. All along these edges here. You can see there's pieces of resin that have to be cleaned out before it can be used again. But if you look on the inside, pretty darn clean. So we will clean this up before we put it away. But for now, let's just get it off our side. And here we go. Let's see how our thoughts yesterday turned out. Dun dun dun. Let's view our turtle. Ooh. What do you think? Let me know if you like the shell or not, the way it turned out. You can see those color variations now between the browns and the yellows and the greens. Gives it a bit of a reflective surface. So again, what we'll do is I'll give this all a wipe down, clean it all up, and then we'll add some details here, give them some eyes. And And then our next step is bringing it all together. So we're going to take our turtle and our driftwood, both dry, both solid. Let me just get this wood chips off. All right. So let's move this aside and give this a little more time. All right, so now we'll just give this a quick wipe down. Use a bit of isopropanol. This side's softer, less scratchy, so we'll use this side. And let's just give them a quick wipe down here. Any excess. The reason, again, I'm using isopropanol is because it's 99% alcohol and it'll evaporate quickly. There we go. All right. So next is to figure out how we want it set up on the driftwood. So do we want it sitting on the driftwood? Do we want it on an angle on the driftwood? Which I think looks better already. But we could also elevate them. Something like that actually looks pretty cool to me. We tilt it on its side. So now if we were to do that, we got to figure out how we would attach it. So if we slid it down in there, we'd have to attach it over in here. You probably can't see that with the camera the way it is, but we need something to keep it on the angle. And on an angle we like. Actually now, see, I kind of like it more like that. Yeah, I kind of like it like that. So let's see how we could attach this. So it looks like it goes across here and down. So let's take our glue. Actually, let's try using UV resin glue. So I have this. It's just a bonding agent of UV resin. And I have this little light. Shines a black light or a UV light. So let's take another look here at where it actually sits. So it looks like the back leg can attach. The front flipper could attach right here. And then we can attach right there. And we'll attach in here all the way along. So let's just one more time lay this out the way we want it. Alright. Now we're going to kind of like tack welding or temporary placement. So what we want to do is get a little bit of resin under here. And then we want to hit that with that UV light. So let me just try turning this off for a sec so you can see. And hopefully, because this is translucent, the light will go through solidifying this resin down here. So we're going to try and hit it from every possible angle. It says you're supposed to aim it for about 15 seconds. So that's what we're going to do, but we're going to try and get it everywhere. So again, let's hold these together and just try and go in from underneath. Hit it with that UV light. All right, now solid. So now let's do the same thing right here. I don't know if you can see that with my stick, but right here it sits on this ledge as well. So I figure again, if we dump UV resin in here, creating a solid joint. So let's try that. And the nice thing about UV resin is it's clear. Dries clear. So let's see how we can do. Again, we're just kind of hitting it from every angle. We're trying to go from underneath to start. Turn it over in case any of it's running. Okay, I'm pretty confident that we've hit it from the underside. So now let's just try and hit it from on top. All right. How we doing? Pretty darn solid. So next, we're going to do the exact same thing. We're going to fill the void right here. You can still see there's a void where the stick sticks underneath, right in here. But then right here, you can't quite get the stick under, but there's still a void. I don't know if you can make that out. There's still a void right here. So again, we're going to take that UV resin and turn this void into a solid point of contact. So let's get some resin in there. And then let's hit it. I don't know if the lights being on or off affects the UV resin light in any way. I just figured if I shut the lights off, it'd be easier to see what I'm doing. You can see how I'm shining the light. And right here, hopefully you can see right here where I'm shining purple. Now you can see that gap between the base and the turtle, that little gap right there that we're shining on. So what we're going to do, again, now that we've got that in there, let's just reinforce that one more time. Hit it with the light. And we're just building layers now. It is a liquid, right? So it'll run on its own. So you just solidify what you can. Again, trying to come at it from every angle. Can you see that gap in there with the light? See how there's a gap right there, but now there's no gap there. There's no gap there. We're basically building the base up and kind of welding it to the turtle. So again, there's a space right there. We're just going to fill that little area in a little bit stronger. So again, we've sealed right here now. You can hear that. But I want to add a little bit more in this gap just to give it that extra strength and bond. Just to make sure this lasts forever. So we're going to put in a little bead right here. So we're going to take our bonding resin, fill in that hole, and hit it with the light. All right, let's look. Seems pretty good. It's definitely heavy. It's definitely heavy. So now let's look for any other weaknesses that we could strengthen our joints anywhere. Would actually like to put a little bit right here, if you can see, right there. You can see where the driftwood touches perfectly. Right there. Maybe in that seam. If you can, we're going to go right here and do the same. So a little dab. There it goes. Light on. Again, I'll turn the light off just for a sec so you can see where I'm shooting the light. Sealing right down there under his neck. Reinforcing that joint as well. All right, that is definitely on there solid. But again, we'll just do one more check. Anywhere else we think. All right, there we are. So now we can be done with the resin. And again, this is just a UV resin for bonding. So it's not the same kind of epoxy resin as this. As this is a chemical reaction. So that's why it takes 24 to 48 hours to set up. Whereas the epoxy is UV. So it sets up in moments with just UV light. All right, so we got our base. We got our turtle mounted to our base so far. Making good progress. Now we need to add some kind of plant life and coral. So I have this bag of random plastic trees, and I have this one. But I think underwater, or around the water, we're gonna want some brighter colors. So I'm looking at something like that. Maybe some in here, maybe there. So let's start with a little bit of this. Let's bring that out and see if it goes with our pictures at all. So again, I know it's probably supposed to be a whole tree, probably like a, I don't know, kind of looks like a cherry blossom or something. But I just use bits and pieces for my projects. So we're just going to take a piece off. Put this back out of the way. All right. So now we definitely don't want this piece here. See where there's no plant life on it at all. And then we want to take this piece and figure out where we want it. Oh, I like that. Yeah, let's do that. Okay, so for the plant life, we're going to use tacky glue. Works awesome for just about any surface. Alright, so, and again, this stuff dries clear as well. So we're going to put some where we think we want it. And then we're going to spread it around. Make sure it's got lots of surface. Just wipe that off a bit. And then take my shaky fingers. And let's sit this where we want it. We're just going to hold it there for a few seconds. Okay. Now already, I don't know about you, but you can see how much of a difference that makes. Just adding a little bit of life already to this driftwood. Oh, let's move this little bit of flowery on top. You might be able to use that for something. So we'll save that. And then this one. Notice I can lift it by the turtle now. And the UV resin with that light, it's done. We don't have to wait for it to set. We don't have to wait up 10 days or anything like that. It's done. It's actually just the glue, this tacky glue. That's the only thing we'll have to wait to dry. So now this one, where do we want to put this one? Oh, that looks pretty good. So again, we're not going to need this part where it has no plant life. So let's eliminate that. And now we just have this kind of like shrubbery bush looking area. And I think I want to put that something like that. So again, we're going to take the glue. Actually, we're going to put the glue on this to make sure it goes where we want it. So we're just going to put some glue on it. Figure out how we want this to look. And then put it in place. And we'll just hold that for a few seconds. All right, we're making progress. Okay, again, let's look at what we got going on here. And I actually have some of this sour gum, and I like this textures on the top. So let's see if we can take a tiny piece from the top of this. So let's pull out our sorghum. And I'm looking for pieces like this. And there's another one we can fan out here. Let's try that. So we're going to put this back. Off to the side. And then let's take a look. Let's try and figure out if we could make a thicker version of this. How would that look? Be nice if we could have it draped over. Let's actually try over here. Yeah, see, that looks better already. So let's do that. Let's take the sorghum. Again, it's right in there. I think that'll look good. So we're going to take the glue. Maybe. There we go. Get some glue along the edge we want it. And we're going to take our bundle of sorghum and we're going to stick it in place. And again, we're just going to hold it, I don't know, 15 seconds or so. I am pushing quite hard into this as I want the glue to get onto some of the sorghum leaves. Make sure it's in place. Okay, now that my fingers are more glued than the sorghum is, let's give that a quick wipe off my fingers. Alright, and then we're going to take some scissors here, and we're going to trim the edges of these stems off. Maybe I should have waited till it was a little more dry. There we go. Wipe off the scissors. Excuse me. Okay, so far as you see, we're starting to add some life. Now, I also have some spag moss, and this is one of my favorite products because when you look at it, to me, it looks like drifting ocean. You know, there could be some seaweed and kelp in there, some bushels and sticks. So now, I kind of like this whole bush. Usually I take pieces off, but I kind of like the way this whole bush sits. Give it a bit of a turn. All right, let's see what we can do with this. As you see, it's very loose. It comes apart quite easily, but what we'll do is we'll get it glued in place. And once we have it where we want it, I take Mod Podge and some water, probably, I don't know, 50-50. So it's just a bunch of Mod Podge poured in there and some clean water. And you mix it up, and once you dump it on top, the Mod Podge will run down and solidify everything else. But now, if we put it there, which it kind of looks good, kind of seems like a lot actually. I just really like the shape of this. Let's just see here. It's another piece. I'd like to see if I could actually open this a bit. Gotta be careful we don't rip it apart. It's very, very delicate. But if we could open this, I was kind of thinking about something like that. I like that better actually. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to look for the biggest surface area here, which seems to be here. And we're going to get crazy with the glue so it sinks into all the different surfaces. So it seems like a lot, and it is. And let's stick that right there. Oh, my tummy's upset today. All right. I actually like that. We're going to clean up some of this glue. Pull it up onto the stump or onto the branches. While that's drying, you can see from the back, maybe you can't, but on the back here it looks pretty plain with a big pile of glue. So we can add more pieces. But I think it needs something with color. It needs some color. So let's take this little bit of red stuff that we dropped and see if we can maybe get it in with the plants. There we go. I don't know if you can see that, but we got that little bit of red in there. I'm just going to put this piece of sphagnol back for a sec. Get it out of the way. And I want a little bit more color there. So let's take a look. So we have something like that. We have some reds. I keep kind of eyeing up this gold. Now again, these are supposed to be trees, as you see, so you're supposed to just prop. But I like to take pieces, so I think we're going to take some of the longer pieces at the bottom here. Ooh. Flying across. Let's see if we can make these join the party. There's one. Go. Again, we're just adding a little, hopefully you can see that, we're just adding some detail, some color, a little bit of plant life. So obviously this is the way the turtle's facing. So this will be the front of our project. This will be the back of our project here. All right, so let's ditch this piece. Let's take a look. What else do we want to put on here? Seems kind of plain in here. We need to throw something on there. What should we put? Something in here, just to liven it up a bit. Some of that spag moss. Wonder if we can pull some smaller parts out. See what it falls off on its own. Okay. Let's see what we can do with these few pieces here. Yeah, let's do it that way so it looks like the roots are growing the other way. So let's put a little dab. Slide that where we want it. Okay, let's take this stick and just give it some pressure. I have another stick here, and I'm just going to push on the other part of the stem at the same time, kind of bending it. All right, let's wipe those down a bit. Okay, same thing. We were looking at this one. I definitely want it facing that way. Yeah, let's put it in there. So again, let's put some glue on the back. And let's stick that in place. Right. Right, let's just add this little bit to it. And we're just pushing that in place. All right, so now the back side. And the front. looking at this, I'm actually kind of satisfied there. Just open these up a bit. Okay, so we're going to move this for a second. Clean up a bit here. Clean up our work surface. Alright, bring our turtle back. Okay, so we're going to take that Mod Podge and water. Make sure it's mixed well, and we're just going to kind of seal everything. Just going to put some drips. Help it stay in place. Help give it strength. You can see how by hydrating it, see how the plant's starting to move on its own. That's why we're putting the drops on top, allowing it to hydrate and move on its own. And at the same time, when this dries, it's glue. So it'll solidify everything and keep it glued in place, locked down. All right. Hopefully you can see how that's the opening and moving on its own. See it moving? It's like it's coming alive. I'll just take this excess off. And because we already sealed it with Mod Podge, this just basically wipes off like because it's sealed. Shape it the way I want it. Okay, well that's drying. Now we have these eyes. Can't really tell right now because, again, they're in a resin. But in order to liven this guy up a bit, we need to highlight his eyes. So in order to do that, we need to clean up our workspace a little bit here. Move everything off to the side. Okay, so now we're going to pick a color for those eyes. So again, we got our paints, which I should have had already out. We're going to look through this chart and see what we want for eyes. I'm kind of thinking I'm kind of thinking this deep yellow actually. And then maybe we'll come back and hit it with a pale yellow for highlight. So let's go row 2, first one. So row 2, first one. Because we're only doing a tiny bit of painting, we don't need to bring out all our paint trays and everything like that. We're just going to use the wax paper. All right. So now we want a little bit of clean water just to have handy. And so we're going to paint a bit of this just to make sure the brush is coated. So we're just going to rub the paint in, filling the brush. Once the brush has absorbed all that color of paint, I'm going to roll the brush into a tip, and then I'm going to dip it in the thicker color. So we just have like the very tip of our paintbrush. And then let's go in and outline these eyes. Again, we don't want a deep color. We just want to highlight them. So you can see there his eyes. So I'll come over here. Whoa. Again, just enough to say hello. Just enough to show that it's there. We're not covering the whole pupil. In hindsight, I probably should have done the eyes first. There we go. Let's clean up our brush. So we're just basically painting this tissue till most of the color fades. Then we're going to take a little bit of clean water. And then take our brush in that wet and see how much of the color comes back out. See how much paint it's pulling out. All that paint was still in the brush. But when you go over here, you can see it doesn't look like there's any paint. It looks like the brush is pretty clean. But again, take a little bit of clean water, take our paintbrush, and boom. Look at all of that paint still on the brush. Alright, brush is clean. Well, I guess that's a completed project for today. We're just going to let that dry a little bit, and then we'll post a video. So that is my epoxy resin on a piece of epoxy resin turtle on driftwood. I hope you enjoy it, and once it dries, we'll put it on the post. Thanks for watching my channel, and I'll see you in the next project.